Good afternoon. Welcome to the Johns Hopkins School of Education Counseling Virtual Information Session. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting today, I have my colleague from the Office of Admissions, and he will introduce himself.
Thank you, Sion. Good afternoon and hello, everyone. My name is James McCarty. I am the new Associate Director of Admission here at the School of Education at Johns Hopkins. I'm delighted to be here with all of you today to connect and learn more about our opportunities within our counseling program. In my role, I am the admissions liaison to our counseling program. So I look forward to connecting with all of you, answering your questions, and working through this process of being admitted to Johns Hopkins and our program. Please feel free to stay in touch and be connected with us after the program is over today. My contact information will be on the last screen. I look forward to connecting with each of you individually and working forward through the remainder of the admissions process. Thank you so much, and I'll pass it back to Sion. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, James. In addition, we have two faculty members, Dr. Matthew Bonner and Dr. Anita Young, and student speakers, Cherry Ying and Aishwarya Jabarati. And before I move on to the next slide, I would like to remind everyone that today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share the recorded video with you after the event is complete. And lastly, there will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your question in the chat box and we'll read and answer your questions. I would like to share the agenda for today's presentation. We'll kick off the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Bonner and Dr. Young will cover the program presentation. We also have two student speakers, and they'll talk about their student experience in the counseling program. Lastly, we'll cover admissions requirements, financial aid, and leave the floor open for questions at the end. And to start, we are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909, and then we became our own school in 2007. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. And for school enrollment, we have approximately 1,741 students, and we offer 25 graduate programs, which includes doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. And we do have a strong network of over 24,000 SOE alums. And moving on to faculty introduction, Dr. Matthew Bonner received the Master of Science degree in Pastoral Counseling from Loyola University and a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Counselor Education from Old Dominion University. His scholarly research in peer-reviewed journals has included multicultural issues, assessment and counseling, grading rigor in counselor education, and human services models of treatment. In regional and national conferences, professional presentations have covered topics involving ethical issues, spirituality assessments in minority populations, and spiritual integration in counseling. And next, Dr. Anita Young is an associate professor in the counseling program. She earned her PhD from The Ohio State University. Her research agenda has a twofold strand: using data and accountability strategies, to close achievement and opportunity gaps for K-12 students and building leadership capacity for school counselors. Dr. Young has co-authored 2 books, published research in scholarly journals, and served on editorial boards. She has presented at numerous local, state, regional, and national conferences specific to her research interests. And at this time, I will hand the floor over to Dr. Bonner and Dr. Young for the program presentation. Welcome.
Welcome and greetings, everyone. We're so happy to have you here and attending and your interest in our counseling program. And so we will give you a broad overview of what our program looks like in terms of our mission of the program and also our program sequence and what you can experience once you get into the program. Next slide, please. So we have two specialty areas, two different tracks. I'm on the clinical mental health counseling side, and Dr. Young is on the school counseling side. So there are two tracks in our program, and we meet in the Ed building on 28 North Charles Street in Baltimore. That is where we are meeting. The building is under renovation right now. And so this picture is not necessarily a true picture of what the building looks like right now. There's a lot of scaffolding outside of the building. So the building is being renovated and getting ready for some exciting transitions and changes. So the mission of our program, we are actually located in the Counseling and Educational Studies department, and we prepare our graduate students to be socially just counselors so that they may implement different types of frameworks, biopsychosocial frameworks, theoretical frameworks, and that they may work with clients to help them in wellness, career, student development. So we are helping to make our world better and providing our graduates with different frameworks that are empirically based. So we base our studies on research. It's not just that we think about our studies and just do something. We're definitely working on our research, and we try to give you cutting edge research in all of our courses. That is our mission. So I'm going to talk a bit about our program sequences in both school counseling and clinical mental health counseling. So this is what a full-time program sequence looks like. It is a 60 credit program. And you see both tracks here. You see the clinical mental health counseling track and also the school counseling track. And there are some differences where students do diverge. One point of difference is in the first semester, where clinical mental health counseling students take intro to CMHC and school counseling students take foundation. Another part where there is differentiation between clinical mental health counseling students and school counseling students is between psychopathology and counseling adolescents. Also, when students get to the practicum and internship experiences. So you're not only doing didactic work where you're taking tests and getting quizzes and writing papers, you get out in the field doing the program with practicum and internship, which we'll talk later about. So there is a split between CMHC students and school counseling students in taking their practicum and their internship experiences out in the field. This is a master's degree where you are learning about being a professional in the counseling field. It's not necessarily a research degree, but it is a professional degree where we are preparing you for licensure in the clinical mental health counseling field and certification in school counseling. And now I'll let Dr. Young take over from here to talk about our part-time sequence for people who want to go a little slower in the program.
Thank you, Dr. Bonner. Next slide, please. As Dr. Bonner said, our mission statement is what we live and breathe, and you will see this integration within our curriculum. He referenced the full-time program, but we also offer a part-time program for both disciplines, school counseling and the clinical mental health program. So as you see in year one, the differentiation there is the introduction to the discipline fields. In school counseling, that is the foundations of school counseling. For the clinical mental health program, it is the introduction to the clinical mental health profession. As you see, the difference also allows over a 4-year period. So this allows opportunities for students who may have additional obligations, but yet are interested and committed to the counseling profession. So again, you see the difference from the previous slide was that of 3 years, and this one as a 4-year. So as we go through the curriculum, as Dr. Bonner said, we do have didactic courses, and we also have what we call field experience classes. So in the school counseling, the two differentiated didactic courses, as he mentioned, was the Foundations of School Counseling, and we have the Leadership course. And you see the intro class and the psychopathology course on the clinical mental health side. So let's just talk a little bit, beginning with the next slide, about the field experiences. So with our field experience, which is also called clinical experience, we actually have a separate department. We have a field experience coordinator. Dr. Justin Lauka and Ms. Darlene Connolly work in that office to work specifically with students regarding their field experiences. All students are assigned an advisor upon the admission process, so that advisor works in conjunction with the student as well as the field experience coordinators in our school counseling and clinical mental health program. So the practicum is a 3-credit course in which students are required to accrue 100 hours in a field experience setting. So if a student is in the school counseling program, this would be in a K-12 public school environment. If they are in the clinical mental health program, it would be in a clinical mental health agency environment that they would pursue and complete these hours. Students are required to complete both direct and indirect hours in practicum and the internship experience. 40 of these hours must be direct, of individual and group counseling to clients/students, and 60 of these hours as indirect on the site where they will complete the practicum. So indirect is really working on behalf of the client or the student, and direct hours are obviously working with the students and the clients. And so we like to say that this is an opportunity to integrate what we call theory into practice. It's TIP. You have an opportunity to think about and actually develop case conceptualizations, which you were taught in the didactic courses, to develop treatment planning and to deliver those services of individual, small group, and within school settings, large group services as well. When you are in the practicum, you will have a university supervisor and an actual 3-credit course with your university supervisor. In addition, on your site or at your site, you have a clinical supervisor as well. And you will have 1 week of individual supervision or group at your clinical site, as in addition to the course that you would meet each week with your university supervisor. So while the clinical office, Ms. Connerly and Dr. Lauker are available to assist students with this, they work hand in hand with the agencies as well to ensure that the placement is appropriate for the students to advance the learning experiences and knowledge that we expect for graduates of our program. So the only way you can matriculate to internship from practicum is you must successfully complete practicum. Practicum, you earned a grade in practicum and the course as well, in addition to the 100 hours at your site. Whereas in the next slide, you move into the field experience that is known as internship in school counseling and internship in clinical mental health. Whether it is school counseling or clinical mental health, the requirement is still 600 hours. So let's just take a moment first to talk about internship in school counseling. So with the 600 hours, it's 6 credits. You would take 3 credits the fall semester, 3 credits spring semester, and you would be working again under the supervision of a school counselor, a certified school counselor at your site, and the setting must be a K-12 public school setting. So again, you complete 300 hours the first semester and 300 hours the second semester. You have an opportunity to begin a week before the semester begins and continue a week after the semester begins. This gives you an opportunity to actually experience the beginning and opening of a school as well as the closing of a school. However, the hours that you earn, if you choose to begin the week before, those are only indirect hours, or if you remain a week after, those are indirect hours as well. So obviously, the internship requires participation during the school day in a school setting. So it is critically important that if you are in the part-time or the full-time, you have to adjust accordingly with any other additional professional or personal responsibilities that you may have. So please keep this in mind, that it's during the day, during the school hours, 300 hours fall semester, 300 hours spring semester. Now let's imagine that you complete your 300 hours in November and the semester does not end until December. You are still required to remain at your site regardless, whether you are in the internship for school counseling or the internship for clinical mental health. You remain at the site through the end of the semester. In the next slide, we talk about the experiences for clinical mental health counseling. Again, it's the same as school counseling. It requires 6 credits. That's equivalent to 600 hours. That's 300 hours each semester in a clinical mental health setting. With the clinical mental health settings and placements, Ms. Connolly is available to work very closely with you to ensure that there's that perfect match for where your interest might lie in clinical mental health. So you would have an opportunity to really expand and look at sites that are located in the Baltimore City area for both the clinical mental health and the school setting, which we call the DMV area. That would be Maryland, Virginia, and the District of Columbia. But you work again closely with the clinical mental health office, Ms. Connolly, for that placement. So again, this internship, as well as the school counseling internship, occurs across 2 academic semesters from fall to spring. And as part of the sequence is approved with the mental health agency. So again, those are the similarities of the 2 programs, whether you're full-time or part-time. The requirement again would be a field experience for clinical mental health students in a clinical mental health setting, and for school counseling students in a K-12 public school setting as well. And now we transition back to Dr. Bonner.
Thank you, Dr. Young. So once you're almost completed with your internship, you have an opportunity to advance in the field. So the field is not just about getting a master's degree, but it's also about showing your competence. And your competence is shown through credentials, through the National Board for Certified Counselors. You are eligible to take the National Counselor's exam when you are almost through with your education. And that National Counselor's exam gives you the certification of having an NCC credential. Also, once you have completed your degree, you are eligible to get certified as a school counselor as well, and getting your NCSC certification. With clinical mental health counseling, you're also eligible for the CCMHC degree. So there is certification, which shows your competence, but there's also another piece of this, which is licensure. So when you have completed your education and after you have received your master's degree, you also have to get your license in order to practice as an independent counselor. And that can take up to 2 years, depending on the state in which you reside. Some of our students go to different states states like New York, some stay in Maryland, but that's 2 years of supervision that people have to have and another 2,000 hours of service. So if you plan on being in a counseling program, that means that's 5 years, pretty much 5 years out of your life in order to practice as a professional counselor in the state of Maryland. And some states it may take longer in some places. Right now, they have what is the Counseling Compact. And in that Counseling Compact, you can take your license from one place to another and you apply, like in the state of Maryland. And let's say you go to Florida and you'll be able to practice there as well because of the Counselor Compact. There are about 13 states now in the Counselor Compact where you'll be able to take your license with you and you'll be able to practice in other states after you have filled out the paperwork. So this is a very exciting time for counseling where we have what we call portability of licenses as well. But after you get your education, you have to remember that it's not just about you getting the degree. You can get your certification, which shows competence, but your licensure is another matter, which is a matter of the government and the law for you to be able to practice counseling. And that can take another couple of years, depending on the state in which you reside. And you can use some of your hours. It's about 1,000 hours in the state of Maryland that you can use from your graduate level education. So people just need to know that getting the master's degree is not enough. There's still a few more hoops that you have to jump through to show competence and to also obtain licensure. As well as you have a test that you have to complete from us as a program called the CPCE, the Counselor Preparation Examination you have to complete in order to graduate from our program, which shows competence in different aspects of counseling. Next slide, please. So we have different certificates for people. We have what we call the CAGS, the Certificate of Advanced Graduate Study. This is for people who have completed some of their graduate courses, but they have other courses that they need to complete, and they also have to do an internship. And this CAGS program is for people to be able to get licensure if they have completed some of their graduate education in counseling. We also have our postmaster's certificate in clinical mental health counseling, which we call the PMC. It is 15 credits and a person does not have to take an internship with the PMC. People usually get the PMC because they are trying to get licensure. Both of these certificates are about students getting licensure when they didn't complete enough credits in their graduate programs. There was a time when school counseling students completed 48 credits in order to get their master's degree. So for some school counseling graduates, they come back into a program like the PMC so that they can get the amount of credits they need in order to get licensure. Next slide, please. So where are graduates employed? For school counselors, they can be employed in schools, of course, elementary, middle, and high schools, different types of schools like private schools and charter schools. And clinical mental health counselors get jobs. They may want to start a private practice and work under somebody in hospitals, outpatient clinics, inpatient. They can also work in schools. Some clinical mental health counselors work with schools. They're contracted with schools for clinical mental health counseling in schools. They can work in governmental agencies. They can work for the Veterans Administration and community agencies as well. The great thing about this degree is that you can do consulting, you can do workshops with people. It's a really versatile kind of degree where you don't have to do counseling. You can also teach at some places as well. So this degree gives you a lot of flexibility, be it a master's in clinical mental health counseling or school counseling. You get a degree that you can take with you into different places where you have a lot of flexibility. I call this a degree of freedom that you get when you obtain a Master of Counseling degree. Next slide, and I believe Dr. Young, you will take over from here.
That is correct. And if possible, could we just go back to that slide for a moment there. Something, thank you, Dr. Bonner. You're absolutely correct. It's just a gateway for multiple opportunities for our clinical mental health and school counseling students. There's something that I think it's important for us to clarify. So if you complete a clinical mental health counseling degree, you see that you are able to work in a school setting. As Dr. Bonner said, you would be contracted to work in that school. You would not have the school counseling certification to work within that school as a school counselor. So in order to work in K-12 schools, be it public or private or charter schools, it requires a master's degree in school counseling concentration. I do believe that there are a few exceptions for some of the private schools, maybe, and maybe even the charter schools, but public school settings requires that concentration in school counseling. And oftentimes that's a little bit confusing for students. Similarly, if you're in school counseling and decide that you would like to go into private practice, as Dr. Bonner said, it's important that you continue to complete the licensure requirements there as well. So next slide, please. I hope that clarifies any questions that we might have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Young. And that is right, that they can work in private
Yeah.
schools. There are some private schools that will hire people who have clinical mental health counseling degrees as well, but they don't have the same standards as public schools.
Exactly. I think that's probably one of the most problematic areas that we receive with students, that they return or they complete the clinical mental health degree requirements and say, yes, they want to work in school settings. So we try as frequently as we can to reiterate that. Now, when it comes to student research and doctoral opportunities, you know, we are so excited about the enthusiasm that our students demonstrate toward furthering their postgraduate opportunities in doctoral programs. We are frequently asked to complete letters of recommendations for our students who want to continue to work in counselor educator settings. There are times that students may choose related discipline fields, but for our students who are interested in working in counselor education programs, it is the counselor education doctoral degree that is required. And we work very closely with our students for that perfect match. And we are very familiar with other counselor education programs across the United States and highly recommend our students to continue that doctoral pathway. In terms of student research, you will find that our faculty, then our staff, I believe there are currently 11 of us, maybe now. Is that correct, Dr. Bonner?
That's right. It's 11 of us.
Yeah, and we are always looking for students to work with us in a research capacity. It does require patience because research requires patience. It requires really looking at the empirical research or whether it's action research, you know, who your audience might be. We encourage our students to look across the research agendas from the faculty within our program and just approach them about any interest you might have with assisting them. I've worked very closely with students, not just for publications for myself, but we publish together. So you could conceivably complete this program and have published articles as well in peer-reviewed journals. So we truly highly encourage students to pursue student research opportunities at while you're here at Johns Hopkins, as well as moving forward for that doctoral degree. And then another area that we pride ourselves in, the next slide, is that of our Chi Sigma Iota Lambda chapter. That is our student organization. It is an international counseling honor society for the counseling profession. We have an award-winning chapter within our clinical mental health and school counseling program, and we are so proud of the active role of leadership and advocacy that members of our Chi Sigma Iota chapter engage in. Most recently, there was recognition even at our Southern Association for Counselor Education and Supervision conference. We've been recognized at the American Counseling Association as well. We have Dr. Ying Shang, who is the advisor for this program, and we encourage students to participate. There are honor requirements. I do believe it's a 3.5. It also requires, the approval and recommendations from faculty members within our counseling program, but it's a wonderful opportunity to acclimate and really engage in what the future of counseling can be as it relates not only to the counseling profession, but to the global economy. And you will see one of our dear colleagues listed here, Dr. Vivian Lee, who was a member, and right now there's actually a memorial honor award in her name as well. So these are past graduates here, but we would encourage you, and I'm sure the students who are going to speak to you this afternoon are members of Chi Sigma Iota as well. It is, again, just a wonderful opportunity. So I believe at this time we might continue, Dr. Bonner.
With students, yes.
Yeah.
This is one of my advisees here,
Yeah.
Cherry.
And likewise, I have one. So we're excited for our students. There you are. Hi, Cherry.
Yes, hello, Cherry.
Hi there. Yeah, Dr. Bonner is my advisor. So I've been working very closely with him as I've been moving through this program. My name's Cherry. I am a second-year student doing my Master's of Science in Counseling, specifically the clinical mental health track. And one of the first questions I was asked was why SOE counseling, especially. And for me, it really comes down to 3 main points, which was the supportive community of peers, professors, and staff. And I found that the program really emphasizes personal growth and reflection, which is so integral as we become counselors, and as I am currently a counselor in training. It's been integral for me to be able to go to my peers, go to my friends, go to my professors and discuss the things that we're talking about in class, not only in class, but also outside of class settings as well. And the second thing is really the diverse faculty and student body. So I've been learning with and alongside people from all different backgrounds. And I think as a counselor in training, this has been so important to really grow in my understanding of people from all different walks of life. And the third thing is the abundant research opportunities, kind of as Dr. Young was mentioning earlier. There are so many different research opportunities that one can join, both within the School of Education, with our faculty, but also through Hopkins as a whole. So for example, I'm currently working for a lab, and as Dr. Young mentioned, you can do research alongside the program and be published in peer-reviewed journals. And that is the experience that I've had in kind of doing projects with the support of the lab that I'm part of. So that's really been a wonderful part of my journey at the School of Education. For me, my school and program highlights really boils down to being able to connect with other people. So for example, in the spring, the School of Education held an ideas conference, and my lab co-partner and I were able to present one of our research projects at that conference. And it was sort of like our first step into presenting some of this novel research that we're doing. And it was very exciting to be able to speak to an audience and share what we're doing. Dr. Bonner and Dr. Young also mentioned different CSI initiatives. So I'm currently one of the co-chairs of the Student Mental Health and Wellness Committee. And so we've been connecting students by going on hikes, and something that we're organizing in December, for example, is a counseling skating party. We also have things like Wellness Week, where during finals and midterms, we bring in coffee and other things to help support students and really support students' mental health as well as community as a whole. We also recently had a counseling fair. And so the connections really aren't just between students and between faculty, but also within the broader community, where because we got to meet people from different counseling services across all of Baltimore and the greater DMV area. So my advice for you as prospective students is to really just get plugged in and to get to know those around you. I think community and getting to know people in the program has been so wonderful for my experience at Hopkins. And I think it's really encouraged me to step outside my own comfort zone and become hopefully a better counselor as a result.
All right, that's me. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be able to hop on here and talk to y'all. I will say that I had to join like half an hour late because of class. So if I repeat anything, I apologize. But I hope to put a more personal twist on, I'm sure, all of the great things that Dr. Young and Dr. Bonner have talked about with the program. So my name is Ashwarya. I am also a second year like Cherry, except I am in the school counseling track. Dr. Young is my wonderful advisor. So why, our JHU counseling program. So speaking specifically from a school counseling perspective, there was probably a list of districts showed on one of the slides beforehand. So I do want to note that as a school counselor doing practicum and an internship, this program has connections to schools all across Maryland, going all the way to like the DC area, Virginia as well. And so there's a wide variety of types of schools and districts that you can choose to do your practicum and internship at. And I find that really useful because I do want to get all of that experience while still being supervised in this position as a counseling student. I was here for the research part, and Cherry also talked about research. So I'm just going to echo that and say that the research opportunities are truly great. It's been really nice to hear about all of the projects that the faculty are involved with, and then figuring out like where your interests may lie. And I know that I've been gaining so many new skills through like the labs that I am part of. Also, school counseling specific is the 60 credit program. For those of you doing school counseling, I know that when I looked into programs, a lot of them are 45 credits or below, specifically just to get certified for school counseling. However, because of the 60 credit program, as I heard, I think Dr. Young mentioned, you can get certified afterwards. You can take the NCE and go on to get your hours towards licensure if you then decide to also want to go the clinical mental health route. So it's really nice that you can go that way from school counseling. I don't think you can go that way the other way around. Just to put that out there. And so for school and program highlights, Cherry did a wonderful job talking about the diverse cohort. It's been really enlightening to be in a program with people from different backgrounds all across the world. And so everyone has their own specific take on counseling and take on specific situations that people have been in. That's really helpful to talk about during school discussions, class discussions and things like that. For CSI initiatives, I'm also on board for CSI. When thinking about coming back this year in person, these past 2 years in person after COVID, CSI I think has been really useful in more in-person events and more connection to the people around you. So I think especially with counseling being such a person-oriented field, it is really nice to have that community around you while going through a program. And I think last year we did have some in-person events, but they've definitely been picking up over the past year or so. And so that has been really useful. And a big positive about this program is putting our community first. And then supportive faculty. I have had a lot of conversations with both Dr. Young as my advisor and a lot of other faculty that have given me like personalized advice on the path that I want to go on, the options that I have in the future. And so I find that really a really big positive about this program. My advice for everyone is to take advantage of the opportunities provided and don't be afraid to take risks while also knowing your limitations. So I am from California. I was born and raised there and did my undergrad there. And so one of the risks that I took was I moved coasts to come here. And I know there are people on this call that are probably thinking of moving countries and moving across the globe to come to this program. And so I would take advantage of the opportunities provided in terms of that. And also once you're in the program, taking advantage of research opportunities of things that maybe you feel like you're interested in, but you're not super sure about yourself for, just go for it and take those risks, because a lot of them do have really great consequences that come about. But then the other part that I didn't write on the slide was to also know your limits and don't go too far, especially in a program that's so much about yourself. You kind of need to know your own limits and stop yourself if need be. So yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bonner and Dr. Young and our student speakers for the wonderful presentation. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our school's website. The application fee is $80. Next, we'll need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. And for the essay, please upload an essay that is 2 to 3 pages long in total, answering all 4 questions in one essay. Again, all responses should be included in one essay. It is not 2 to 3 pages for each question. Please visit our school's website for additional information on the essay part of the application. You'll need a current resume or CV, 2 letters of recommendation, and please note that GRE is not required for this program. And lastly, if selected, a group virtual interview is also required. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process. If you're an international student, you must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. And please note, if you hold qualifying degrees or have earned credits from institutions outside of the US, you must have your academic records evaluated by an accredited independent credential evaluation agency before you can be considered for admission to the counseling programs. Additional information can be found on our school's website. The tuition for the 2022-2023 academic school year is for face-to-face $936 per credit, and also for the online course, $991 per credit plus a $20 per credit technology fee. Additional fees apply and are charged separately from tuition. We encourage you to view our tuition and fees page on our website for the most up-to-date information about tuition and fees. If you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. The School of Education offers a limited number of partial need-based institutional scholarships each year. SOE's endowed scholarship awards range on average from $800 to $3,000 per semester and are applied to tuition expenses beginning in the fall semester. To see if you qualify for the endowed scholarship, please visit the grants and scholarship page on the school's website. And also, if you have questions about financial aid, please visit our school's website as well. Thank you for attending today's counseling virtual webinar. At this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions. And Dr. Bonner and Dr. Young, it looks like we have some questions. Feel free if you want to just kind of kick us off, reading the questions and answering it, that'd be wonderful.
Do you want us to read them, or are you going to read them and we'll answer?
Sure. Or Dr. Bonner, go ahead. You can read and pick and choose. And again, if you just click on Q&A, you'll see the questions.
Does the license allow us to work in other countries? It allows you to work in certain states in the United States, depending on, like I said, the counselor compact. You would have to check with the country if they would allow you to work there with a license from the US. That would be something you'd have to check in with the country. Just like states have their own laws, countries have their own laws, of course, too. Is there a way to fill the gap with the lack of DC's reciprocity with regards to licensing? So in terms of reciprocity, again, the counselor compact allows you to have portability to different states. So there's not a way in terms of filling the gap except to go into that state and to fulfill those requirements for that state and to do another application for that state if they're not engaging in the counselor compact. What is the age diversity like? Dr. Young, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, I think it combines with the next question as well. What is the typical age spread for students? Are most coming straight from undergrad, or is a decent amount of career changers? We could say a decent amount of career changers. I think over the past few years, we've seen more of our applicants are coming directly from an undergraduate program within 12 months to 36 months, I would say. Although we do have career changers, but the majority of our students, I think, I would not say a specific age, but I think it's more of a younger pool of applicants. Would you not agree, Dr. Bonner?
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and let's see what's next. There was one question, something about DC. I missed.
DC reciprocity.
Yeah, I do not know what that means. Do you?
If you get your license in Maryland, can you carry it to DC? Is it reciprocal?
Yeah, I do not know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
that's
Is it reciprocal in DC? And like I said, you have to go and you have to make sure that you fill out the paperwork. And whenever you're moving to another state, there are forms that you have to fill out and there's specific details. You want to make sure that you dot all your I's and cross all your T's per se, and talk to that jurisdiction. That's the best advice, because we can give you some advice about licensure in another state. And even when you're getting licensure here in Maryland, you still have to talk to the board about that. And I guess that also goes into this other question about Johns Hopkins working with you to try and get licensed in Virginia instead of Maryland. So our requirements fulfill Virginia requirements, and of course you have to make application. And once you make application, after you're done with the program, what we do is we've given you your master's degree. You've earned your master's degree, but again, you have to apply for the licensure, and you have to make sure that you talk to that state about your licensure as well. You have to know the details there of that state, because I can't speak for the state of Virginia. I can't speak for the state of Maryland. You have to talk to them.
That's true. Thank you very much for that clarification with licensure versus certification for the school counseling students as well. So typically there is reciprocity for school counseling with the certification process, but there are sometimes some requirements that are specific to a particular state. For example, in the state of Maryland, requires school counselors to have completed a course in special education. And if such is the case, we encourage our students to complete that course as an elective while they're in our program. If they completed the course as an undergraduate, it is not a requirement, and then they complete a second or a different elective course. So that would be an example from a school counseling perspective. But again, it's still true in regards to reciprocity from state to state. Let's see. Passing rates for licensure. So Dr. Bonner, that's a clinical mental health one, but the CPCE exam, we have a very high passing rate of our students. It's above 90%, I believe. Is it like 92%?
Yeah, and when you're talking about passing rates for licensure, you have to take tests for licensure, like the National Counselor's Exam. We don't have all of those statistics with us about our pass rates for the National Counselor's Exam, because sometimes our students take them at different times. Some students take the National Counselor Exam before they graduate. Now we have those statistics, but students who take the National Counselor's Exam after they graduate, we don't have those statistics unless those students report it to us, because they can take the National Counselor's Exam while they're here the semester before they graduate or up until graduation. But then when they leave, that's a different story where we don't have those statistics. And getting licensure not only requires you passing an exam, it also requires you fulfilling the hours requirements and the supervision requirements as well.
Correct. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah.
I'm more familiar with CACREP accreditation than MPCAC accreditation. I know that CACREP is the gold standard. CACREP aligns with the National Board for Certified Counselors as well as the American Counseling Association. And there's going to come a time when you won't be able to take some of the National Board for Certified Counselors tests like the NCE unless your program is CACREP accredited. So CACREP is considered the gold standard. I know that much.
That's true. I concur with you. Yeah. I guess the scholarships and grants, I'm sure that we can get that link from our admissions office.
Yes, we can share that with you. Mhm.
Okay. Asking what's the instructional style for clinical mental health? Well, I can address that although I teach in the school counseling discipline, I would say across the board, there's a combination of, lecture. The expectation is there's always a percentage of student participation. So we have lecture, project-based, class discussions. It's all of those three combinations to help us to be able to look at the formative and summative assessment and progress of our students, just kind of across the board, be it clinical mental health or school counseling. Obviously, in your didactic courses, you have more of the, lecture, student discussions, seminar-based class environments as opposed to the field experience. Remember, you have a university supervisor as well as a clinical supervisor. So those courses, I would say, give you more of an opportunity for supervision aspect. But across the board, I think and it's a very rigorous program. It is Johns Hopkins, so you expect the rigor in the courses.
Yes, it's a mix of lecture, discussion, projects, and it depends on the material that you're learning. So for example, in a course like counseling techniques, you're going to be a mock client and you're also going to be a counselor where you're demonstrating skills. I teach a course called Couple and Family Counseling where students get into families, fake families during the semester, and students have to counsel those families. So there's a lot of hands-on. We have what we call our lab courses where you're actually doing mock sessions of group counseling. And in our diversity and social justice class, you're also doing mock counseling sessions. So there's a lot of hands-on kinds of activities as well as lectures. We have some great discussions about are human beings good or evil? We have some great class discussions. Our classes tend to be fun and students tend to enjoy our classes and enjoy the learning from many diverse kinds of perspectives. Okay. CBT is a separate course. There's not a course separately for DBT. CBT is the course that we require for our students. There is an advanced treatment approaches course, which includes, I believe it includes DBT. Okay, this is university college setting. I'm going to punt this one off to you, Dr. Young, about school counseling and how you would answer this. I'd like to hear your perspective.
I would like to work in a university college setting after graduation. Would you recommend it? Once you get in the doctoral level, we are trained to work as counselor educators. So I don't think it really matters. It depends on which discipline. We are all trained to work across the curriculum for our program. Obviously, I would not teach because although I began many years ago in kind of clinical mental health, I have landed in school counseling. So we have a tendency to teach from our strength base in our research areas. I could not teach the field experience for clinical mental health because I no longer have licensure to do that. Dr. Bonner could not teach, for example, the school counseling internship class that I teach because he no longer, or he does not have licensure as a, or certification as a school counselor. But if you're in a doctoral program, I think we keep in mind that we are grounded first as counseling professionals who specialize in a particular area, and your dissertation research would probably lead you in that pathway. So I think it's a matter of where you choose, you want your professional pathway to lead you. I hope that answers that question. Dr. Bonner, could you add more to that?
I think
It's an
the question is
interesting
gone, Dr. Young, but it was about working in a college and university setting. And of course, there is a specialty for college counseling too. Student
Oh,
affairs
so
and
you're
college
not as a
counseling. I'm not sure
professor.
if that was the gist of the question
I
about the
see.
specialty of college and university counseling too.
Okay, well, I would say school counseling. If you're asking that you would like to work in or at a university level, but not as a professor, but perhaps in the college and career office, yes, I would suggest the school counseling track.
Career freedom. I was the one that said that, I remember now.
Okay.
So once you get a master's degree in counseling, you're going to have a few options, right? You've got an option to move on into a doctoral program, a PhD in counselor education and supervision. We've had some students to go into PsyD programs, even though psychology is not our orientation. You also have the freedom to move forward in your counseling career, of course, and maybe start private practice, working in agencies, in hospitals, if you got a school counseling degree, working in a school. And you can also get mental health counseling licensure, doing consulting and working in the community. That's the kind of freedom I'm talking about, that it provides you with different options for your career. I hope that answered the question about you have a lot of options once you get a master's degree in counseling for a consultation, for moving forward in education as well, and for different career placements too, and in different environments, which we talked about. And you can work with the Veterans Administration as well.
What would help an application process? So I guess without compromising the fidelity of the application process, I would say that your authenticity should be apparent in the responses to the questions. As stated earlier, respond to the questions that are asked specifically, and just to be authentic in your responses and to refrain from generalizing. And keep in mind that, we are looking for students that are appropriate matches for our mission and vision that we have in our counseling program. As Dr. Bonner mentioned earlier, that we operate from a socially just advocacy stance in all of our classes that we teach, and you will find that we value the importance of, multiculturalism and anti-racist approaches throughout our curriculum, and particularly in the school counseling program, we're training students to work in urban school settings. So as you would complete the application, I hope you would keep in mind that this has to be a match for you as well as for us.
So important. Thank you, Dr. Young. So you're interviewing us as well as we're interviewing you, and you have to do what works best for your life and be authentic in that process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is all a process of self-reflection too.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. There were so many good questions today. If your question was not answered, please reach out to James McCarty for any admissions related questions. Any program related questions, please reach out to my colleague, Kiana Napper. Her email address is on this slide. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you again to Dr. Bonner, Dr. Young, and our student speakers for the wonderful presentation. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.